Hello, and welcome to this fingraphs.com podcast on Dukascopy TV. Today we're going to look at cryptocurrencies and to Bitcoin and Ethereum and the ratio of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. Let's start with a mosaic on our fingraphs.com platform. On this mosaic, on the upper line, we have the weekly chart of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the ratio of Ethereum versus Bitcoin. And on the lower line, the daily graphs of Bitcoin, Ethereum versus Bitcoin. The last column is dedicated to other ratios, Cardano versus Ethereum and Ripple against Ethereum. The broad picture we could get is that both cryptocurrencies are still rising and should continue to rise into the spring. We'll look at that in more details in a while. On the daily graph, we are also in an uptrend. We believe that we may see some consolidation into November, but generally the trend is up. Interestingly, the ratio of Ethereum versus Bitcoin is not outperforming, meaning that Ethereum is not outperforming Bitcoin at the moment. We can see that this underperformance started pretty much mid-Q2, or more precisely in May. We think that's interesting because it corresponds to the consolidation on many more cyclical assets. And we could also make the parallel that other alts are also in a consolidation versus Ethereum. So we have Cardano, which has been retracing pretty much since the spring versus Ethereum. And we also have Ripple, which is pretty much retesting down since a spike that it made this spring. So in general, it seems like the more defensive cryptocurrencies are currently leading the pack. Now let's look at them in detail. So first at Bitcoin. Bitcoin on our weekly graphs is still in an uptrend. And this uptrend has reached its targets, but it still has quite a lot of momentum. The risk index is still quite low, so we believe there's further potential into the spring. If we look at the daily, and we'll have a close-up on it in a while, we can see that we're also still in an uptrend and that we still have some upside potential, and that here also the risk index is still very, very low. On the hourly graph, we're getting a bit towards the overbought zone. We've pretty much reached our targets, which leads us to believe that at some point over the next month or so, we should see a bit of consolidation on Bitcoin. Just zooming into the daily again, just to have a view of the targets which the machine is currently projecting, we can see that the uptrend is still underway, could reach up to the 69 mark as the lower end of our targets, but perhaps could even rise towards 85 over the next few months. We believe that that could happen probably towards mid-late Q1, perhaps the spring. We now have a quick look at Ethereum, which is very similar. We're still in an uptrend with a lot of momentum. Risk index is still very, very low, as this uptrend is not over yet. If we look at the daily, we are resuming the uptrend. Risk index is also low, and we see further upside potential. Looking at the hourlies, we're getting a bit overbought here. So also here, we believe that at some point between now and perhaps mid-November, we should see a bit of consolidation. Now, if we move on to the daily, just to have a look, this is a strongly rising market, what we call a resume uptrend. And it also leads us quite higher, up to 4,750 on Ethereum. This is our impulsive targets. Our view is that we'll probably see an acceleration of Ethereum, but not now, but later on this year and towards early next year. So we could even envisage our impulsive 2 targets, which would be around 5,500, maybe 6,000 into the spring. So still a very strong uptrend into over the next few months. Now, if we look at the ratio, which we believe is quite puzzling to see Ethereum underperforming Bitcoin as it has done since May, we can see that we're still in a very strong long-term uptrend. So we believe this state is probably transitory. The daily is in a consolidation. That consolidation has been going on for a while, but we haven't really tested the support either. So we believe that at some point we will find support slightly below the levels that we saw during the summer and then start rising again on the ratio. On the hourly, the ratio is quite oversold here, so we believe that at some point it should start to stick and we could probably see the beginning of a reversal. Our view is that this outperformance of Bitcoin versus Ethereum or Ethereum versus altcoin comes from an apprehension of the upcoming tapering plan by the Fed. And the initial announcements may bring further weakness for the more high beta coins over the first few weeks. But we believe that the market is strong enough that we are in a reflationary trend, and that at some point from mid-late November, we would see the altcoins starting to accelerate and Ethereum outperform Bitcoin probably into the spring. Thank you very much, and we wish you a very good week of trading.